What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Grind Force Gaming. Nova here, and as always, I've got DatSkat with me. DatSkat, what's up?
What's up, fighters? How we all doing?
We are going to bring up something interesting here, just an interesting concept to think about, to be discussed, and that is, with these new fighters coming out now, is it possible that there are some units that we've overlooked that could be helping these new fighters do even more damage or have their kit be even more utilized? So, Scat, we've been talking about this for a few days now, and you brought up that it might be time to look at some of the off meta fighters. Tell me what you mean by that.
Yeah, well, the meta is pretty well set kind of by the leaderboards. Like, I think we're all looking at these leaderboards trying to emulate them, trying to have
Sure.
our own comps, team comps that kind of look like them or do what they're trying to do, right?
Right.
And so because of that, the leaderboards look pretty similar all the way down. Like
Yeah,
everybody's
agreed.
using the same people, right?
Agreed.
And so with that being the case, I think that some fighters just don't get looked at. Um, you know, like you said, we have all these new fighters coming out, and a lot of them, for the majority, are these trigger skill heroes, right?
Correct.
That are doing, you don't slot their combos, they're doing combos because other people are doing combos, right? Some are
Right.
Elena, some are Ibuki, Oni on the C1, or is it his C2 or C1?
I think it's his, I don't know. He has a trigger skill somewhere in
He has
there.
a,
Yeah.
he has one of his two skills is a trigger
Yeah.
skill. Um, anyway, so I was just kind of reading up on a few Outfighters C1s, and you had pointed out uh, earlier that day that I was doing that research that Yoon was someone to take a look at. So I looked at a C1, and there you go,
Yeah.
trigger skill damage boosting.
It is
So like
super interesting.
so I'm just thinking, why isn't he all over the meta? If we're seeing people like Summer Ibuki putting up massive numbers, why aren't people using his C1?
Well, I feel like, I mean, because he's been around since the game started, and at first it was like using yin and yang, like it was just kind of never meta. Like I think only on a handful of occasions have I seen that combo even be used in any sort of
Yeah,
boss fight. It's certainly not used in PvP. It's not used in
no,
PvE. Like Scat
no.
said, the meta's been set, right?
Yeah,
But I think we really are at the point where we need to start like rereading some of these older fighters' kits, because I have never used either of these fighters, Yun or Yang. But now,
mm-mm.
with this conversation that DatSkat and I have been having, it's like, have we overlooked something here? Should we be using him? I mean, typically the C1 is used for your bit of sustain, right? If you're doing any type of fight, you need to keep your fighters alive, right? So usually that C1 slot has been like Elena or Summer Yang, or if you just need some damage boost, you're using Street Poison. But Street Poison, she's on the field, she has a passive healing going on too. You can get sustain from tanks, you can get it from X moves. So my thought here is, coming up in this next boss fight, and this needs to be tested. I've not tested it. Have you tested it, Scat?
No, because I need time to build my Yoon. But hey, everybody
Yeah.
who is watching this video, tune in again. We will follow this video up with some data because
Yeah.
we are going to be testing this. So you don't have to put resources into Yoon if it is indeed garbage town.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's just one of those things. I mean, like I haven't put anything into him, but I think I think there might be something to this. And when the event starts, assuming we have boss fights just like we have for all of these special summon events, we'll be able to just run this back to back to back as many times as we want with different team compositions and see how much this affects things. Because when you're doing these boss fights, like as you attack the boss, as you deal damage, as the fight progresses, they start to deal more damage to you, and eventually, your team gets wiped out. Whether you're a
Mm,
whale or not, your team gets wiped out at some point, depending on when you start your combo chain and whatever. But that's a whole different thing.
mm.
The thought process here is, you work towards sustain in these boss fights to keep your team on there to keep doing combo chains. But what if you can realize that damage with less combo chains? Then do you really need that much sustain on the field? Can you really just focus on buffing and damage output?
Then I think the RNG question kind of switches. It's not, well, how long can I stay alive? Can I get another combo string out?
Right.
It's how much can I make each combo string hit?
Right.
And so somebody like Yoon, gets an upgraded use case
Yeah.
now that these trigger fighters have come into the game, and I do not see fewer trigger fighters coming into the game. I actually think there's a trend where there'll be more trigger
Yeah.
fighters, and
Agreed.
so having someone like Yoon be basically the trigger fighter's version of Street Poison,
Right.
um, well, all of a sudden, my fourth team I just have another idea here,
Yeah.
and so and if they keep adding the necessity to have more fighters built, a fifth team, a sixth,
Sure.
I don't know. I'm not claiming that that's what's going to happen,
Well, I
but
think
four teams is a lot.
we're already kind of there at this point, right? Like I found myself in the last event kind of wondering, well, like, what do I like? I'm still working on team 3. What do I
Yeah, what
even
about
do for team 4?
because every time I'm building a team or every team you see in the leaderboards, those teams are specifically doing something,
Right.
right? And so if I'm just putting the next most powerful hero that I have up on that team for, well, I'm potentially losing out on a lot of potential there.
Right.
But if I can use somebody like Yoon and maybe an Evil Ryu or a Summer Ibuki as a trigger skill unit, put a tank with a C2 out there and somebody throwing off the super, like we're in business, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like we
Seriously.
are cooking with oil at this point, and especially with these boss fights where they're just going to nuke you anyway. I think
Yeah.
making each combo string
I
pump
agree.
will elicit a more consistent and higher result
Sure.
than having Elena just simply healing you and
Right.
hopefully you don't get knocked out.
Right.
So
Yeah. I think
that's
that
the point here.
there's definitely this is definitely worth trying. And I as soon as the event starts, if we have boss fights like we have been getting, I'm trying
Yeah,
this instantly. I have some teams
instantly.
in mind. So we'll definitely do a video showing you like some of that testing too. But I wanted to just jump back into his kit here real quick because as we looked at his skill here, the C1. So the thing with him too is it stacks so much, and you might not realize it. Is so on his C1, he's increasing that skill damage, trigger skill damage to 25%. Okay. On his fighting spirit, he has a 20% chance of inflicting a Yun mark when damaging an enemy target. So this can be from his skills, that can be from his normal attack. If he does, in fact, do that, his Yun mark will now also, if it's at FS30, they will take 25% increased skill or trigger skill damage. So now we're at 50% increased trigger skill damage. If Yang is on the field, it goes to 40% just on the FS alone. So then it changes it to 65%. But I don't know why you
Yep.
would use both of them. So we're looking at 50% here just on this, right? If we go to his garage, if you have, well, 3 or 6 out of 6 here, both of these are helping that trigger skill damage as well. So the benefit here with 6 out of 6 is that the effect now increases all damage instead of trigger skill damage. But what this is doing is every trigger skill performed by allies increases the fighter's trigger skill damage by 5%, stacks up to 7 times. You're getting another 35% trigger skill damage. That's 85% increased trigger skill damage.
Yeah, so it's what? It's like a good chunk of that. It's like half of that you get up front, and then
Yep.
you have to get what, 4, 5, 6, 7 combos to go off to get that full potential. However,
Yeah.
uh, what is Street Poison? Street Poison's only boosting your crit.
30%. Yeah, which it can be 60% if you
Yep,
work things correctly. It can even be 90% if it works in your favor. The RNG works in your favor with
okay.
the effect landing, but
But you have to do the
85% trigger
crit.
skill?
You have to do the crit every time
Yep,
Evo Ryu goes off. He's getting these boosts. So
correct.
like, let's say currently I have my Evo Ryu on a kind of a weird team. I love it though. It's Sagat out front,
Yep,
Evo Ryu, Trendy Cammy, and then I have Elena in there generally. But
yep,
sometimes I put Street Poison in there. So it would be really interesting and Evo Ryu on a good boss round will do like 25, 50 million, somewhere in there,
right.
right?
Yep,
But all of a sudden, if he's doing plus,
yeah,
75% damage overall, because he's only doing
sure.
trigger skills,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
eking out.
he could be up to 85% increase, and if you're using his super, just an additional 35% on that.
Yep. And so that could be another 100 million, let's say,
Yeah,
right? And so So now we're talking about placing better in these events, and this
Yeah.
is the whole point. So I
Yep.
think what the threshold is 1 to 10 are different, and then 1 to 25 or 1 to 20,
Sure.
or 10 to 25 or 10 to 20, and then 25 or 20 to 100, I think, are the thresholds. I, the separation between 26 and 25 is well within 100 million. Like,
Yeah.
and so that's the point.
It's just definitely some food for thought here because I definitely forgot about this unit until I started rereading things. And I even started pulling for vehicles for him. I've got him in my wish list. I pulled one vehicle for him.
Yeah.
I want to get him to at least 3 out of 6 for this
Now,
testing. And I can't,
again,
I have some, I have things saved up.
you
I
got
have
some
choice
choice tests.
chests. I
Yeah.
don't want to use choice chests on him, but I might use
Okay,
2.
but the point is that here at Grand Force Gaming, we're willing to do the testing for you.
Yeah.
So don't invest anything into them yet. Wait for that follow-up video, and I think we'll be pleasantly surprised. However,
Yeah.
needs more testing.
Needs more testing for sure. Anyway, guys, that's our concept for today. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. If you're not in our Discord already, definitely do that. Definitely join. We have our link in the description here as well as in our page's bio. We'd love to hear your thoughts in there. But yeah, leave us a comment as well. Throw a like on the video, subscribe already if you hadn't. And yeah, keep grinding this out. Keep getting prepped. We got a event coming in a couple days, so now's the time to get ready.
Indeed.
Yeah. So close it out on that note. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Keep it real.